and Representative Rosendale, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing today. While I've not always agreed with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the Biden administration, I did largely trust that they put the veterans' interest first. I've always respected Secretary McDonough and let him know when we disagreed on policy, but I never questioned his team's desire to help veterans. Unfortunately, this whole budget shortfall has shaken my trust in VA leadership. As usual, I just call things as I see them. You guys are accustomed to that. The White House and the VA did not initially submit an accurate request for the 2025 fiscal year because I personally believe that they wanted to sneak by the spending caps established by the Fiscal Responsibility Act. The Biden administration knew if they submitted a higher VA budget request, Congress would appropriate the money. We always have. We always have. However, it would result in lower funding for agencies like the Department of Labor, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the Department of Justice. I know some of my Democrat colleagues think that that would be a terrible thing. I don't necessarily agree with that. But it's called budgeting. And no matter what the organization is, it has a certain amount of money to allocate. And if you spend more in one area, then you must spend less in other areas. Anybody who has run an organization recognizes that. The Biden administration prioritized funding a woke and weaponized government and then attempted to use veterans as pawns by trying to blame Republicans if there was a shortfall to benefits or to health care. Congress provided $2.883 billion in September for disability compensation and pension and readjustment benefits as the VA requested. The VA then carried over $5.1 billion, raising concerns about whether the request was justified. Maybe Undersecretary Jacobs did need additional funding at some point, but he clearly did not need it in September. The VA also requested $12 billion for the Veterans Health Administration, but after Congress started to investigate and started pressing them on the matter, the request decreased to $6.6 billion. This budget shortfall exercise is starting to feel more like haggling and less like accounting and accurate budgeting. This only leads to more questions that the VA has been unable to answer. Now, I've said it in this committee and I've said it on the floor and I will say it again. Congress always seems to find extra money to build weapons and wage undeclared wars, but struggles to pay benefits to veterans that are the result of these conflicts. That doesn't, however, exempt or justify the VA not having clear and accurate budget information. Mr. Jacobs, you didn't answer the question the chairman asked. It shouldn't be a very hard question. How much compensation and pension funding did you have on September the 19th?
Let me ask Ms. Graham to provide that number.
Ms. Graham.
What we had available was the information that we had available to us at that time still begged to prove.
Just a number, Ms. Graham. If you could just give us a number.
I don't have that exact number, sir. I'll have to get that for you.
Congressman, the challenge for us is
I think you're demonstrating exactly the problem that we are all trying to identify here. Mr. Jacobs, you didn't answer the question. Ms. Graham, you won't answer the question. These are really basic accounting principles and questions.
Congressman, the issue here is when we identified the risk in June and July, we had a decision to make. Because if we go even $1 over, we have to delay payments. We can't certify.
I understand that, Mr. Jacobs. I understand that, okay? But you had X amount of dollars in the account, and as demonstrated by carryovers, the VA had literally billions of dollars of additional funds that were available in other accounts. All I'm asking, I'm not even asking for the entire VA, okay? Liquid assets that were available at the time. Your one account, what was that available? And you can't even answer that one simple question.
So the latest data that I had available to me showed us that as of August, it takes us several weeks to close the books from the previous month, we had about 0.5%, which was it was about 0.5% under for CMP and then about 0.5% over for the readjustment benefits counseling. So we were showing that we were slightly underplanned for the C&P account and slightly overplanned for the readjustment benefits account, but that wasn't sufficient. That didn't give us significant assurance that we would not over-index and run the risk of exceeding the
Again,
dollars.
Mr. Jacobs, but we end up with a $6 billion carryover, okay? And it's been going on for many, many years, and there were additional funds, other funds that were available. Mr. Chairman, I see that my time has expired. I will yield back.
Thank you. Representative Paff.